Assalamualaikum. The 14th Malaysian general election is nearby. In around 3 months, the parliament will be automatically dissolved. Together with me today is Tunku Abdul Aziz, Tunku Ibrahim, former top leader in Democratic Action Party. We hope to hear some insights and informations regarding the issues of Malay DAP. Welcome to the studio, Tunku.
Thank you.
All right, Tunku, my first question, why did you join DAP after the general election in the 2008?
Yeah, I think it was in 2009,
Right.
after the election of 2008.
Yeah.
And I was with the party until 2012.
Is there somebody, within DAP invite you to join them? Or is there any, previous effort made by, DAP or opposition party to, invite you to join the opposition coalition?
Yes, the invitation actually came from Lim Kit Siang himself. I've known him, not all that well, but I've been following his political career, and he was someone that I admired because, he was very strong in his views against corruption. And corruption has always been my particular area of concern and interest. So that's how it all began. I did not make any overture. I did not say, I want to join you, but I was invited. And the invitation came with an offer that, because they knew my interest in the fight against corruption, that they said that DAP would provide a platform for me to continue my work in the fight against corruption. Because I had left Transparency International that I and a few others founded here in Malaysia in 2004, because my 2-term limit had come to an end. And therefore, I really had no institutional connection. And DAP came along and said, look, you join us, we give you a platform. And knowing their credentials at that time, that they were against corruption, I thought, why not?
Yeah. But, Tunku, you only stayed there, if not mistaken, for 3 years. Why is that so? Why do you leave the party, I think, in 2012?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, in fact, when I finally left the party, it wasn't the first time I tried to leave the party. In fact, very soon after joining,
Why is that so?
I realized that perhaps this is not the party for me. And I, sending my letter to the chairman, Karpal Singh, and there was no reply, but Kit Siang and Guan Eng saw me and said that perhaps, I should reconsider my position and not leave the party like that and so on. So really out of my friendship, I stayed back. And then there was a second time where I wanted to leave. The same thing happened. But finally, I decided I had had enough. And this was really to do with the fact that DAP, PKR, Pakatan Rakyat, and PAS had agreed to support Bersih 2. Bersih
2.0.
Yes. Now, of course, we all supported the idea because it was really to do with clean and fair elections. Yeah? Now, who wouldn't support that?
Yep.
Yeah, it's one of those things that,
Yeah.
you know, something we wanted for our country.
Yeah, universal values. Yeah.
Yes. But what happened was, they used a lot of their people to send out messages. Yeah, getting people to come to the street march and to the demonstration. Now, I would have no problem with that, although I have reservations about street demonstration based on my experience, yeah, in other countries, yeah, because it's always the case. Everything starts off peacefully. The organizers are not going to say, you know, this demonstration is going to be violent. No, it'll be peaceful, you know. But it doesn't take a lot to turn a peaceful demonstration into a violent one. Now, that I didn't want.
Yeah.
Now, I would have still, what you call, gone along with that, except that Persepsi, you know, made it a condition that they wanted to have the demonstration in an area which had been declared a prohibited area, which is the Taran Merdeka. Right?
Yep.
Now, the point I made to the party at that time was that while I support the idea of demonstrating for fair, clean election, etc., I cannot support anyone breaking the law. Yeah? And also, I was concerned about the safety of all those people that you have, you know, through various means asked to come and be part of this. Now, in the event of any trouble, who would take responsibility? There was no answer.
Yep.
Right? Then, what happened then was, in the Senate, you know, I was a member of the Senate,
Yep.
This matter came up. And a lot of the people on the government side said things with which I agreed. To me, the Senate, you know, should be a place where you would put your party political affiliations aside and think of what is good for the country. Because we were not politicians in the sense that we were elected, so on and so forth. We were there because of our experience and our so-called wisdom. And I then stood up and said I agreed with the government. And this shocked a lot of them. Yeah, because I just could not go along with anyone breaking the law, particularly members of parliament who are lawmakers. To me, lawmakers don't become lawbreakers. That was the stand I took, and I announced my resignation. Not just as vice-chairman of transparency of DAP, but also, you know, my membership.
So that's the reason why you, you know, against Persepsi 3.0 demonstration.
I have always been opposed, you know, because I've had experience. Yeah, I've seen this. You know, I was of an age that I could remember the what you call the riots in Singapore. Yeah, the Maria Hertog riot and things like that. And then we had our May 13 here. I happened to be away at that time. But, you know, those who were here, they understood what really went wrong. It was, again, a street demonstration. So to me, you know, all right, you want to have a demonstration does it matter that it has to be in the Taran Merdeka, knowing very well that that place had been declared a prohibited area? To me, as I said to them, the message should be the important thing, not the venue. You know, your message can be conveyed, whether you are speaking at the Taran Merdeka or you are giving the message out under a durian tree. The message is the same. You know, so for them to insist on breaking the law merely to be at the Taran Merdeka, to me the motive or motivation was highly suspect. And I know why they wanted to be there, because they wanted world attention to be focused on them, all the foreign media, television crew, and what have you. So, I mean, if this is what you want, you are deviating from the object of the exercise. The object of the exercise simply is to demonstrate for a fair and clean election. But here, what you have done, you have, in the first place, I'm talking about Persepsi now, allowed themselves to be hijacked. And I saw the video clip. As I had predicted, it turned into a chaotic situation. And what happened? All the DAP, Anwar, Ibrahim, and Azmin, and other people going to the back of the pickup truck, and they disappeared. And people were left all over the place, some with broken heads, police cars were overturned, and what have you. And that precisely is the reason why I opposed this demonstration.
Tunku, is there any special reason that DAP invited you to join them? What were your roles at that time?
Yes, because, you know, even if I say this myself, I went to DAP with great credentials. Right? I've been a corporate figure. I was group director of Sam Darby. I had been an assistant governor of Bank Negara or advisor. I had been a director at the Commonwealth Secretary in London. Yeah. And then I had been a special advisor to the Secretary General of the UN, etc., etc.
Yep.
So I suppose they regarded me as a good catch. But I didn't go in to be a politician. If I wanted to be a politician, I would have joined UMNO. I'm Malay. I would have joined UMNO. Yeah?
Yep.
When I came out from college. But I didn't. Because while I enjoyed the theoretical side of politics, you know, taking a degree in political science, etc. But the practice of politics did not appeal to me. So I did not go in there with any great ambition of running the country. And what could I get out of the AP, for example? They had been in the opposition for years and years and years. So there was, I asked for nothing, they promised nothing. It was simply on the basis that I could use DAP's platform to continue, you know, the work which I have been doing, and that is to fight corruption so that Malaysia would be a better place. And that was the real reason for going into DAP.
Tunku, from your experience, what is the true character of DAP party? Is it a multiracial party? Is it a Chinese-based party? Or a socialist party?
Well, it is a socialist party, although they play that down. But they are paid members of the Socialist International. Right? In fact, when I went there, they were talking about, you know, the fees that they had to pay to Socialist International. So I said, why are we doing this? I said, socialism is dead.
Yep.
Socialism died, you know, with the coming down of the Berlin Wall.
Yeah, have flaws.
No more socialism. But they were sticking to that. They were still paying their subscription. So the answer to your question, are they are socialists. Are they democratic? No. Yeah. If the what they call the republic, the Democratic Republic of North Korea, is democratic, then yes, the DAP is democratic. The fact that a party or an organization attaches the word democracy or democratic to itself does not mean that it is democratic. Yeah. Now, in the DAP, although they will say all the right, they make all the right noises about freedom of this and freedom of that, you try offering a differing view, or you say something which is not, you know, in keeping with what they believe in, then they come down very hard on you. Yeah. But in my case, I owed them nothing. I was not beholden to anybody, and therefore I could say what I wanted. Yeah. But many of the others who have said anything at all, disagreed, they're all over the place now, outside the party.
Tunku, is there any effort made by the DAP leader, you know, to after you tendering your resignation in 2012? Yeah.
Well, I made the announcement in the Senate, but I had not written my letter. Yeah? And I think 2 days later, I'm not quite sure of the date now, but I have all this record at home. Kit Siang turned up and more or less expressed regret that I had done this. And he said it would be very difficult for you know, Anwar and so on, you know, to support my position, and my term as a senator was expiring, and they had every intention of re-electing me
for the second term.
For a second term. So I said to him, Kit Siang, I do not want my name to go up. So when you see your son tomorrow, please tell him, because Kit Siang said to me, Guan Eng wanted to put my name up, yeah, for the consideration of the, I suppose, of the assembly in Penang.
Right.
That don't do this. But when he subsequently visited me again, he said, yeah, Guan Eng has put your name up. And so I said, no, look, I'm not interested. Yeah? I did not ask in the first place to be appointed a senator. I never asked for anything. Yeah, you appointed me. I accepted it. But I'm not there, yeah, to cling on to this position. Forget me. Yeah. And then they tried to stop me from speaking to the press. So that upset me. And I said, look, are you trying to apply, what is the word for it, when you put a gag? Yeah. Yeah. I said, would you want me to tell the New Straits Times and the Star and all the other media that you have placed a gag on me, and at the same time you're saying that, you know, DAP is open, it provides a space for dissent? Yeah. I said, when it comes to the test, you're taking a completely different approach. Yeah. But after that, you know, he wanted to come again. I just said, sorry, I'm busy. Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, that was the end. Yeah. And even when I send them my letter of resignation, I still haven't got a reply.
Tunku, how about claiming that it is a socialist party, social democrat party, but how about the minority voices in the party, especially the Malays and other communities?
Well, I think in my time, certainly there weren't many Malays, although they claimed that there were Malay branches and so on. But when I asked if I could visit some of these branches, nothing really happened. So I gathered from there that they were not too keen for me, to meet other Malay members. Yeah. So I'm afraid I have to come to the conclusion that the presence of Malays, is mere tokenism. Yes, a kind of trophy. Yeah. Now they've got what's his name, former minister, Zaid.
Zaid Ibrahim.
Ibrahim.
Yep.
Yeah. And then they've got one academic, Aziz.
Aziz Bari.
Another one. But we'll see. We will see. But as far as my own experience, based on what I gathered in my 4 years, in the Central Executive Committee, I doubt that, that they are there to promote Malay interests. Yeah? So if Malays believe that DAP is there to look after them, to protect their interests, and to fight for them and their rights, I think they're going to be very sadly mistaken.
Tunku, since the 2008 general election, DAP has been aggressively, recruit Malays, especially at, 20s, 30s, years old, to join the party. Yeah. Do you know what is their modus operandi to recruit the people, and what is, the agenda behind that, perhaps?
Yeah, I think the agenda probably is. Is something we should discuss because the agenda is simple. The agenda is they realize that they really cannot hold power without the backing of the Malays. And that's a reality. They may not like it, but they have to accept it. Now, how do they get Malay support? Malays, generally speaking, stay clear of DAP because the overwhelming majority of Malays distrust DAP, right? So what do they have to do? Yeah, they have to work. At one time, they work with PAS, but for them, it's a marriage of convenience. Use PAS as much as they could, because it's through PAS that they could get the Malay votes in those areas where DAP, would have no standing. Yeah. So it's the same. Now, what they're doing is, in fact, it's to their advantage, because the Malay community is badly divided into 3 parts, in fact. Yeah. You have UMNO, and then you have
Bersatu, PAS, PKR,
all
Parti Amanah.
Parti Amanah lagi. Itu ini. Jadi this we are as a community playing into their hand. This is what worries me. We have to be understand what they are doing and why they are doing it. Yeah. Now, if you think that this is a good thing, three-cornered fight and this and that and the other, it's not good. Malay unity is paramount. Now, if the Malays are divided, that's the end of the Malay race. It may not happen tomorrow, but if this trend persists, forget the future of the Malays. the future of the Malays really is in the hands of the Malays themselves. Yeah, so my advice to them is stop, pause, take a look at what's going on around them. Yeah. Where are they today? Where do they want to go? I'm not preaching racism. What I'm saying is that we are the majority race. Islam is the majority religion. So let's behave like majority people. Not forgetting what Quran enjoins us to do. That is to help the minority. In other words, although democracy is about, the rule of the majority, but with that comes a lot of obligations and responsibilities. But I think, over the last 60 years or so, I think the Malays have shown that they are not a people who believe in, winners take all. Malays are not like that as a people. Yeah, we always think about, kesian, we have to be compassionate because this is what our religion teaches us and things like that. So no one can say that 60 years of Malay rule have completely, impoverished the other communities, that these are marginalized people, and so on. That is not true. If anything, we are the marginalized people. So for them to keep saying, that they are not being treated fairly, this and any other, take it in its proper context. Yep. Take it as a whole, and don't just nitpicking a bit here and there. 60 years of progress. You look at Malaysia today. If Malay, management, government is that bad, you wouldn't have what we have in this country. Yeah. So, I think we should continue to remain united and to ensure that while we hold power, we also have responsibility.
Tunku, how strong is DAP in the opposition coalition?
Yeah.
How strong DAP in the coalition? Yeah.
Well, DAP is not really a membership party. It hasn't got 3 million members. It's not like UMNO or
PAS.
MCA or PAS. It's got very few members. But that does not mean that it hasn't got the support.
Yeah.
It's got the support of 80 or 90% of the Chinese community. Yeah. And the last election, Prime Minister himself talked about the Chinese tsunami. I think it is very clear, that the Chinese are flexing their muscle. They want to teach us a lesson. They feel that they can go it alone. They feel they can go it alone. Yeah. So we have just to wait and see the outcome of this election. But from my perspective, nothing will change. I think the Chinese votes are not going to come in. Somehow, maybe in drips and drabs, but we are hoping for a change of mind set. Yeah? It's not going to happen. Chinese are still out there to teach us a lesson. And they will. Yeah? Of course, now people say, I'm racist. Yeah, I'm racist. I'm speaking the plain truth as I see as a Malay, because I've always said, Malay unity is paramount. Malay unity is not negotiable. Malay unity must be part and parcel of our larger agenda.
How transparent is DAP? Are they free from corruption?
The answer is no, they're not.
I mean, are they practicing good governance, transparency in terms of, political management, finance, and so on? Yeah.
Not from my point of view, because, I've had training. I have been, in business. I've run companies. As part of SAMW Group. I was a group director of SAMW, and I've done all these things. So to me, if you say, you ask me about management, I think there's absolutely no management. Yeah, because all these people really have had no experience of managing anything. Yeah, so it's a very secretive organization. Yeah. It's based on individuals whom they trust. For example, even the deputy chairman, Dr. Tan, of
Kapong.
He was often sidelined, because he's not part of the inner circle. So they're not open, they're not transparent.
What is your personal opinion on Lim Guang Eng?
Guang Eng is trying to do a job, which is really too big for him, in the sense of good governance. Because I don't think he had every intention of governing Penang good and governing Penang well. Now, I give you an instance. When I joined DAP, it was 2 years or 3 years after I had left New York, where I was the special advisor to Kofi Annan, where I was put in charge of setting up the UN Ethics Office, the whistleblower regime, declaration of interest, or what here we call declaration of assets, etc., etc. So when I joined DAP, I said to Guang Eng, I said, look, I think it would be good for DAP, to be seen, to have someone like me as advisor. Not asking for any payment. I said, on a purely voluntary basis. I say it will be good for DAP, because you are promoting CAT, his CAT management philosophy. Let's reinforce that by actually having someone, as your ethics advisor on governance. And excuse given what? No, it'd be very difficult, because we have PKR and so on. They may not accept this. Now, that showed me at that time that they were not serious. I would have seized that opportunity. Here is someone who was selected. I didn't apply for the UN job. I was selected to advise the Secretary General of the UN. On ethical issues. Wouldn't this be good for DAP? If they were serious? No. So they were not serious. They were not serious. And we have now seen, what DAP is all about.
Tunku, from your own experience, what is, your, or perhaps DAP perception towards our constitutions? Because our constitutions give some sort of advantage towards the majority, the language, quota, and everything.
They, they don't accept the Constitution per se. They're still quibbling, right? So I don't think they'll accept the Constitution as it is, because the very idea of Malaysia negates, the whole concept of the Constitution as far as, Article 153 and so on is concerned. So, they are there to cause as much upheaval as they can. And that is why I think soon after the last election, Malays were asking the question, I don't know whether you remember, what else do they want? Orang Melayu pun dah hairan. Itu dah ada, ini dah ada, apa lagi mereka nak? And that, I think, remains the question today. So it doesn't matter. What you try to do and so on and so forth, it's not good enough. If they want to attack Malays, they don't dare to attack Malays as individuals. So what do? They attack UMNO. Everything is attributable. Anything that goes wrong is attributable to UMNO. Yeah? So that is really a code. When they attack UMNO, they're attacking me. They're attacking you. Yeah? And this is what the game is all about. And yet, of course, they can just stand up, on high moral ground and say, yeah, we are multiracial, we are multi-religious, etc. If they're so multi-religious and so on, why are they going against Islam? Why are they going against hudud? And so on and so forth, in the way that they have been attacking Islam. So to me, deeds speak louder than words.
Tunku, is the Lim dynasty real in DAP?
Sorry?
Lim dynasty.
Well,
like in Singapore, it's from Lee Kuan Yew to Lee Hsien Loong.
I mean, here in this case, now how many prime ministers have we had?
6.
6.
Yeah.
How many? What you call chairman or advisor and so on? DAP has had since the beginning of time. One, Mr. Lim Kit Siang.
Since 1965.
And yet, they talk about change, ubah, and so on. I think the ubah should start there. Yeah, by example, not just to scream and shout, making allegations without any proof. Yeah. So I think we got to look at this party very carefully. Yeah, don't just accept what they say, because what they say is different from what they actually do.
Look, one of the most popular politics played by DAP is, anti-corruption politics. But how about Penang? They also have several issues. Could you, shed the light on that? Several issues, confronting DAP in Penang, especially under Lim Kuan Eng.
Yeah. You see, one of the things that attracted me to DAP was the fact that, they said that they were totally opposed to any form of corruption.
Yep.
I said, wonderful. That they were opposed to abuse of power. I thought, well, that's great. But then I realized, at that time, they had no power to abuse. When you have no power to abuse, you can't abuse power. But the moment they had power in Penang, you see what has happened to the island government. Yeah? But for them, no. Yeah? And the Chinese attitude to the corruption of DAP in Penang is, wow, this is so little compared to 1 MDB. Yeah? In spite of the fact that 1 MDB has never been an issue. Yeah? Blaming the Prime Minister of stealing money, 42 billion. It's all started by Tun Mahathir. When it was pointed out that it's not theft, no money was missing, and it was a loss of 24 billion. Then he agreed, 24 billion. But in the nature of business, sometimes you lose, sometimes you make a profit. if you want to hold anyone accountable, you hold the board accountable. Yeah? But not to pick on the Prime Minister and say he had stolen the money. What proof have they got? The matter has been thoroughly investigated by Malaysian authority, but of course their attitude is can't trust. Can't trust Bank Negara, can't trust MACC, can't trust the police, can't trust the courts. But when they win cases, they have won more cases against the government than the government has against them. What do they say? Nothing. Quiet. And the same with what you call the electoral process. Kononnya, it's all election is being rigged. Yeah. If it were rigged, and they are supposed to be upright and upstanding, why did they accept the government of Penang? Selangor. Because if it was rigged, that means it's tak halal lah. Kalau tak halal, you should say no, sorry, take it back. I don't want to be the government of Penang. But no, quiet. But now they're starting again. Yeah, starting again. Yeah. That the thing is being rigged because BN is frightened that if there was no rigging, that they will lose, etc. So what I'm saying about the DAP is that these people say one thing, but they do something else completely different. So in the case of corruption in Penang, I think, the chief minister has been charged, but there are other issues connected with corruption that are coming up. But, we let the legal process take its course. Yeah? But for them, to demand, for example, that Najib should step down, simply because they said Najib has stolen money. To me, this is wrong, because Najib has not been charged. The investigation says, including the PAC, where two people were from DAP, Dr. Tan, Kepung. He said, absolutely, been repeating this, nothing to do with Najib. But they kept saying, all the news about fake news, that the American government has found this, has found that. If they have found, they would have acted. Why haven't they? Because they have nothing, absolutely nothing. So, and I've been saying this. People say, you're the only one defending Najib. I said, no, I'm not defending Najib because Najib is Prime Minister. I'm defending Najib as a citizen of Malaysia. And Najib, like you, like me, he has rights. I'm defending his rights. Because in our country, whether we like it or not, we have chosen a system of law that we call the rule of law. It's easy. You don't want the rule of law. What they want, the way they are putting pressure now, is the rule of the jungle. A kangaroo court. That's what they want. I accuse you of corruption. I have no evidence, but because, I don't like you, I'll just say, let's go and, take him to a big tree somewhere, let's hang him. I have gone so far as to say, if after due process of law, because I was asked this at an international conference in Bangkok by the, I think one of the editors of the Straits Times, Singapore. And the man said to me, Tunku, you're the only one defending Najib. So I gave the same answer. But if after due legal process, the court finds that Najib is guilty, I said I would be happy to offer, if the court allows, if the law allows, to hang him.
Okay, Tunku, do DAP have any external funders, from overseas funding? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I cannot say with any degree of certainty
All right.
about receiving money from overseas,
Right.
but I know for a fact that they receive a lot of technical assistance. For example, the Democratic Institute of America would send their people down here. In fact, they are probably already here now, teaching DAP
For the election.
how to operate during this election period and what have you.
Yep.
And they supply orang kata macam reference materials, this and the other. Now, as I said somewhere else, you never know about resources, financial resources of the party. Because even the treasurer report, and I was there for 4 years, there was not a line in that report, the monthly report, which says, where our where our sources of income are. Nothing. So nobody knows. Maybe, a very small inner circle would know.
Yeah.
But the rest of the CEC, the Central Executive Committee membership, would have no idea. So that's how transparent they are, and that's how open they are. They are not what they say they are. It's not what it seems. Yeah.
Yeah. Tunku, is the Red Bean Army real? Do you have any, experience or information on that?
On what?
Red Beans Army, the DAP cyber trooper, so-called. Yeah.
Yeah, I personally, have not actually seen them in operation. But yes, within the DAP itself, there are people who talk to me about, our boys and so on and so forth. And some say that these people were being trained by a team from Taiwan. To provide the technical support and what have you, and to teach them. But certainly, they seem to be far ahead in the use of sort of digital technology and what have you. Yeah, and I think UMNO has come into it very, very late. We didn't take all this seriously. Yeah, until we realized that we were completely overtaken by them. Now, having said that, I think I should just make this point. I'm not a member of UMNO. Yeah, I'm not a member of UMNO. Yeah? But I believe, having lived through the period when UMNO, was nothing. The earlier struggle, I was still a schoolboy, but old enough to remember. Old enough to take part, in Alostar, when Dato' On came to make his speech, to listen to him with my old teacher, Encik Khair Johari. Yeah, he was my history teacher, and he brought us out of school to listen to Dato' On. So I have been interested in that because I lived through that period.
Right.
Yeah, UMNO has done such a lot for the Malays. I'm not saying that it's a perfect party, but I think it's done its job well.
Yeah. Tunku, do you have any last message to Malay or to Malaysian at large, with regard to the coming general elections?
Well, I think, the usual advice would be, of all the things you have as a citizen, perhaps the most valuable possession is your vote. Now, use it with your brain, not with your heart. Think before you cast your vote what the consequences would be. Are you voting because you hate UMNO, or you hate MCA, or you hate MIC? Have you forgotten to consider, perhaps, what good these parties which form BN collectively, what have they done for the country? I think, if we look around and if we are objective, I travel a lot. The jobs I had in the past involved foreign travel. But every time I drive in Kedah and then drive back to Kedah sometimes, I am amazed. When we look at the transport system in KL, when you look at the roads and all the amenities and facilities, when you visit our hospitals,
Transformation, changes.
I tell you, there are very few countries in the world. And yet there are a lot of people who are not happy, who criticize everything the government tries to do for them. So my advice to Malays especially, your vote is very important. Use it. You're free to use it any way you like, but pause a little and say, what really should I do with this piece of paper? Who should benefit from this? And that, I think, will ensure that our future is well protected and safeguarded.
Once again, Tunku, thank you very much with your time and valuable insight. That's all from us today. Xpress Persepsi. Do keep on watching us on Facebook and YouTube. Until we meet again, Assalamualaikum.